If you love Chevys, then this is the place for you. This is the Menards Chevy series, where we tour the country to find the finest race cars and rides that are part of the bow tie breed. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a series of events, the Menards Chevy series. We'll kick off our first event in beautiful South Florida with Chamber of Commerce weather. Now, what exactly is the Menards Chevy series? Well, as it says, it's all about Chevrolets. Camaros, Chevelles, Chevy 2s, Corvettes, you name it. There is one exception. You can have another body car as long as it is what they call a conversion. That is a Chevrolet engine. They have many classes here in the car show, and they have special awards we'll be presenting during the show right here. In addition to the car show, they have a drag race going on the quarter-mile drag strip here at Palm Beach International Raceway, just a few miles outside of Jupiter, Florida. A little bit more on the Palm Beach facility later on in the show. First, though, let's get started with an old gasser. That is something that's made to look like an old gasser, because being an old drag race guy, I remember the days of the gasser wars. Reedy and Humphreys. Now, there's a story to that. I'll give it to you in a minute. But the old gassers had the velocity stack sticking up through the hood. Let me disappoint you, folks. I don't think that's real fuel injection, okay? I believe he has a carburetor hidden underneath there, and it's meant to look like real fuel injection. Just like this ignition system is meant to look like an old Vertex Magneto, but it's not really. It's a standard, ordinary distributor. He also has the big, wide cheater slicks on the back. Really a neat car, meant to look like it came out of the era of the gasser wars. He's even got some decals back here from Vargo Dragway, okay, in Pennsylvania. He's got the sun tack added on right up here, just like they would have done back in the days of the gasser wars. Reedy and Humphreys, and he explains that this car was built in honor of his father, Lieutenant Colonel James Reedy, who was in the United States Air Force, passed away in 2006. They purchased the car new. It was a fuel-injected Corvette in October of 1961. He came from Briner Chevrolet in Jenkinstown, Pennsylvania. Now, Dad always wanted to keep the car stock original, like that. But, you know, being a young man, of course, the son wanted to make it into a gasser. So after Dad passed away, he says, "Rest in peace, Dad. Sorry, in heaven, there are no gas classes." So that's why we make them here.
Time now for this week's Rock Auto Restored Award.
Our Rock Auto winner this week, a 1973 Corvette that belongs to Norm Goodman. It's a show car, but it's also a race car.
I put the hardtop on it, makes it legal up to 1150s, and that's where I'm at. The judges love it. I leave the little rubber on the back of the quarter panels. I actually won first place up in Gainesville a few years back. They saw that I actually raced the car and put it in the show.
This bright yellow, I really like it, but I don't think that's a stock Corvette color.
It's actually Fruhoff yellow. Basically, I saw it on a magazine cover and called up the magazine and found out the car information and dug that out.
No kidding. Where did you find this car?
I went up to New York for a friend's wedding. I was shopping for a Corvette and saw it up there, and it was sitting in some guy's backyard and looked good from 20 feet away. It had new paint on it, new top and tires. Interior was trash. The engine was a station wagon motor in there, and everything of the car ran good and so forth. But when I brought it back home, drove for a little bit, took it off the road, redid the interior, and put a crate motor in it at first. Wasn't quite enough after a year or two. Had a engine builder, a friend of mine, HBR Competition Engines, build me a nice 383 stroker. Thing runs great.
Now, folks, this is real Cal induction right here. This actually works. There's no flapper that operates on vacuum like on the Chevelles and stuff. When he brings cold air right here, has it trapped to his open element air filter from K&N.
It's a little over 600 horsepower. Runs 1150s right at the track right here.
Whoa.
Yeah, right on pump gas. It's a great little car.
The buttons on the Momo steering wheel right here are actually just horn buttons, not nitrous oxide, not a line lock, not a tranny brake. He does have a line lock. Remember, he drag races this right down here on the custom shifter. You see the line lock right there.
Oh, I drive it as much as I can. Yes, that's most of the fun of it. It's very reliable. I got a 700 R4 transmission in there with a full manual valve body. It's got a set of 410 gears. So it works good at the track, and I'm cruising on the highway.
Incidentally, Norm loves the sound of that V8 motor. No mufflers in these side pipes, folks. She really roars. They're like straight pipes coming out the side. Now that's very cool. When we come back to the Menards Chevy series, we'll introduce you to an A-body that belongs on the A list. Stay with us.
This episode of the Menards Chevy series is brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology. Original Parts Group, the world's largest source for GMA body parts and accessories. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. And by Race Gas, get more out of your engine.
Welcome back. Coming to you from Palm Beach International Raceway, just outside of Jupiter, Florida. Hello again, everyone. I'm Ted Jones, and a little bit about this track I promised you earlier in the show. Well, it was constructed in 1964 at a cost of $1.5 million, essentially as a drag strip. It opened in 1965. Then later, Dick Moroso bought the track, completely remodeled it, made it pretty famous as Moroso Motorsports Park. Then later on in 2008, it returned to its original name, Palm Beach International Raceway. And IRG did a complete facelift on this track. New concrete walls, all sorts of safety improvements, great lighting system, new timing system. Now it also consists, of course, of the quarter-mile drag strip that it's most famous for, but it has a 2.04 sports car course with 11 turns. It has an 0.8 of a mile WKA karting track. It also has a mud bog. In addition to that, they have a racing school, a driving instructor school for teenagers, and they do IndyCar testing. Speaking of testing, a lot of the IHRA and NHRA drag racers rent the facility in the off-season because they like this track, because of its exceptional concrete, smooth surface. Let's get back now to some more of our producer's choice. Folks, it's an SS 454, 450 horsepower. It was called an LS6. That was the engine option, the most powerful motor General Motors ever made. What's the most popular Chevelle ever made, according to all the surveys? The 1970 model. Everybody liked the lines. What were the most popular colors? Red with black stripes. That's why we picked out Bill Coffey's beautiful 1970 Chevelle, complete with the cowl induction and everything that's absolutely correct on this. All the safety numbers, all the part numbers, the cowl induction that actually works and seals up here. He did it all perfect.
I bought the car in 1982 for $900.
No!
Yes.
Now, you know, someone once said there are more LS6 450 horsepower Chevelles now than they actually made. But folks, here's the original window sticker. If you look real close, the price of this car back in 1970, $4,780.
Now let's check out the Original Parts Group Award winner.
This week's OPG winner is, of course, an A-body. That's what OPG is known for. A 1969 SS 396 3¼ horse. And believe me, Michael has done an outstanding job of restoring it to original stock condition.
Well, I found this car on the internet. It was at a broker in North Carolina, and I flew up to take a look at it, and within a week it was in my garage.
Was it all restored, or did you do that?
Well, you know, it was restored pretty nicely, but it wasn't quite to this level. So it took me some time, a lot of research, and a lot of money to where it's in this pristine condition.
Talk about detailed on this engine right here. Notice all the little stamps right here. Final approval of the air conditioning compressor from Frigidaire, which was owned by General Motors back then. He's got the original Delco Energizer type battery, but here's the one you don't see on a lot of cars that they miss, and that is what we call the smog bog equipment. Right down here, this thing that looks like a generator, that's actually an air pump that pumped cold air into the exhaust manifold in each port to burn off the excess gases. A lot of people think that's because it's a California car. No, they had to do that on at least 90% of the cars that they manufactured back in this year. Is that the original color?
Yes, it is. It's Le Mans blue and white convertible top, white interior, factory air conditioned, well option car.
Did you have to redo the paint on it?
We did. We redid the paint. We stripped all the old paint off, went over all the panels, make sure they were rubbed out right, and painted it up.
Well, everything's correct. The wheels, you've even got the polyglass tire.
That's the way it rolled out at the Baltimore assembly line.
And you talked to the people at OPG a lot.
Yeah, we had to replace some of the weather strippings. They had everything that I needed and fit right in.
The trim tag tells us this was built the second week of January. Now, when they were building the cars in the early days, they had these special chrome-plated exhaust tips that really looked great. Only one problem. Water would collect and they would rust out. So General Motors discontinued them. But to make this car a perfect restoration because it was built so early in 1969, Michael had to find them, put them on. Well, another one of our producer's choices is 2005 Chevrolet SSR, but I bet you've never seen one like this. A very unusual paint job. Do you drive it on the street at all?
Yeah, it's got 26,000 miles on it, but when it goes over 50 miles to a show or something, it goes into an enclosed trailer because of the bugs. It's an old paint job.
These wheels he had custom made to tie in with the color scheme and everything like that. Absolutely gorgeous. Then, if you go to the engine compartment, that's a whole nother story.
We took all the plastic off and had to redesign it. It comes with no fan. It's a LS2 Corvette engine with a Corvette drivetrain and rear end from 05 Chevrolet.
Now, the heat dissipates because he said this is all stainless steel. It moves back here to the back and actually comes out through this vented area right here that he had designed.
We had an engineer from American Car Craft design it so that the airflow would go from the front all the way up through the back, so I can run with it all attached, just like a plastic would dissipate the heat.
And the tail lights is kind of old school. They called this Frenching back in the day. The tail lights have been Frenched. These lenses out of a 1962 Chevrolet. You know, most of the initials on Chevrolets, Cadillacs, GTO, Pontiacs, and everything stood for something. SSR stood for Super Sport Roadster, so he took this emblem off of a 1962 Chevy Nova Super Sport. We've still got more of the Menards Chevy series still to come, including an eye-catching green machine from the fabulous 50s. We'll be right back.
We're at the Chevy show building Revell model snap-tight kits for the children here at the drag strip, enjoying ourselves doing, and we're helping children to learn the parts of the cars when you're doing axles, manifolds, engine blocks. It's a great idea, and all of it here, safety, no glue, just put the snap-tights together. It's all free to the children, free to us, and there's a bunch of volunteers helping out and having a grand time.
This producer's pick belongs to Glenn Travers. It's a 1970 El Camino. Now, you remember the 70 Chevelle earlier in the show? The age-old argument, is it a truck or is it a car? This is like the Chevelle. It's even red with black stripes, which is the most popular color. But he did change some things underneath the hood. For instance, it didn't come with red valve covers. It didn't come with a red radiator hose. It did not have a chrome alternator on it. The brake booster, the master cylinder have all been changed out because he wanted to make it his.
Small block, but I made it a 383 stroker. Put the 400 crankshaft in it, oversized pistons, and it got me 450 horse on the dyno.
And coupled to that engine, a turbo 350, but it's a little different.
It's a built 350 turbo, but I added a gear vendor unit on the back of it, so it made it from a 3-speed into a 6-speed.
It's kind of like an overdrive.
Yes, it reduces the RPM about 750 on the top end.
He's redone the dashboard with custom gauges, again, to make it his.
The seats are swivel buckets, and I got them out of a 73 Malibu.
Those wheels look original.
Oh, I love them. I got these wheels as a birthday present to myself. The original wheels were like 14-inch, and these are 17s.
He has named it the Texas Edition, and his license plate tells the entire story. Hot Camino. Now, probably the second most popular Chevelle, besides the 1970, is the 1969. And in the El Camino, SS 396 rules the roost. This is a beautiful example right here that belongs to Jay Bernard. But when you go to the engine compartment, folks, you're not gonna believe what he's done there.
Well, it started several years ago, like 25, and we got tired of the stock. And I pulled the engine and chromed every part that was chromable, and then made billet copies and polished the aluminum from the factory until we got what you see here today.
Yeah, some of the plastic was chrome.
Yeah, the plastic is a process that everybody knows about. They just don't think about it. It's the same as the knobs in your car. It's called vacuum plastic plating. So we chromed every plastic part that are all stock parts. There's nothing in there other than a few copied billet parts that's not stock. And we put it all back in the original location.
Everybody comments about this rich, beautiful color.
Yeah, we picked that from the Corvette color palette from 1969 called Dark Teal, and we put 2 pearls and a metallic in it to get it to pop out.
Time now to take a look at our Duracell Copper Top Award winner.
And this week, our Duracell Award goes to Steve Wooster, his beautiful 1955 Chevrolet truck.
I've always liked trucks. Everybody's got a 3-window coupe or something like that, or a Camaro. I just like the trucks.
Was this a rusting down out behind the barn deal?
Not necessarily. This truck's been getting rebuilt since the 70s. It already had a Nova front clip on it when I got it, but other than that, it was a bunch of boxes, like the rubber weather stripping and everything. With 1979 shipping dates, had already gone bad in the box. I definitely built it from the ground up. Small block Chevy, the 350. Nice driver.
And I was going to ask you that. When you drive it, you get a lot of looks?
All the time. Thumbs up, people videoing it going down the road, rolling their windows down, letting their kids hang out and look at it.
And this color, boy, this is one loud green.
It's 2012 Dodge Charger Gecko green. The color would pop like 2 miles off, so it's kind of a no-brainer.
The rest of the drivetrain, the tranny rear end?
Transmission's a 350. It's got a 12-volt posi rear end. It's got tubular AR front end, drop spindles, disc brakes, everything that new cars have basically. Bluetooth hands-free phone, 7-inch DVD player, air conditioning, power steering, tilt wheel.
How many miles have you put on it?
I put 12,000 miles on it last year.
Wow.
I drive it a lot. I drive it down to Key West a lot. We have a place in Alamorada. I go there a lot. Drive it to Orlando. I've had it at Georgia. I've had it, a lot of places.
And you like to put it in competitions like here at this show?
Yeah, I love doing that. If somebody comes in that's been on a trailer all his life, it's a little difficult to compete with them because I have rock chips and things, but you just got to keep fixing it.
The interior very clean, all the latest up-to-date things like that. And what's up with that shifter head?
It's actually a pinstriping brush with a tiki face carved in it, and its ponytail is the pinstriping brush.
We'll be back to the Sunshine State in a moment with another sweet ride on the Menards Chevy Series.
This episode of the Menards Chevy Series is brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology. Original Parts Group, the world's largest source for GMA body parts and accessories. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM for radios since 1977. And by Precision Turbo, the winning edge in boosted performance.
One of the main attractions at the Chevrolet Series has to be the swap meet. Now, what exactly is a swap meet? Well, it's old parts that are hard to find.
I came here to sell stuff and I wound up buying stuff instead.
I got valve springs, I got connecting rods.
Some harness for a project for my son and I are working on. We also got some ignition box.
You can't imagine a whole quarter-mile row of rare things. Some of this stuff actually came off of Chevrolets you'd want to put on a Chevrolet. Some of it is new stuff. Some of it is stuff you're building a race car, like how about a blower belt?
This is like 30 some odd years of messing with race cars. Last year we were here and we brought out a Camaro. And this year it's actually parked right now, so we're working on it. So I came with my wife and my 2 children to have a good weekend.
I ain't taking too much back. That's why I got my sign here. The end of the day sign.
Swap meet will make you crazy.
Well, folks, they didn't have very many street rods here, so we picked this one out. 1934 Ford, owned by Connie Childers. Now, to be in this show, you had to have a Chevrolet engine, and she's done that. Small block Chevy engine, tucked in nice right there. Electric fan, got some lights right back here to light it up for night display, I would suppose. Looks like a low-car dipstick. Inside, a nice low-car shifter, some low-car pedals. Typical street rod setup right here with the tilt steering wheel, air conditioning. Here in back, the trunk is all finished off. and she's moved the battery back there, and it's a beautiful mint green color. I like street rods. Oh, look at the color of this beautiful full-size Chevrolet Impala SS. This gorgeous beauty belongs to Eugene Selby. It's a 1967 model with a 396. Now, the really hot ones had 427s, but this is a real collector item, folks. 396, 325 horsepower. He's done a nice job in restoring it. No, you wouldn't have had a chrome alternator. He did that to make it his and put a little splash on it. I love the color of it. I like the original red line tires. They called them Tiger Paws back then. 4-speed on the floor, and the best part of all, it's a convertible. You know what they say, when the top goes down, the price goes up.
Our final award is from Minties, available at Menards, along with other fine True Science products.
1967 Chevy 2 Nova, 454 Motown motor in it. You know, just custom from head to toe.
Where did you get the seat?
60-something Corvette.
Did you build the console?
Yes, the console's custom built.
Okay, now, you don't own the car. What did you do?
I help manage the car, work on the car. It's got air ride system. It's got a 400 tranny in it, tubbed in the rear, mini tub, street driving car. Runs on 93 octane, so it's a good running car.
Where did you find the color?
Sunburst orange. PPG.
So it's not off any particular car?
No.
Okay, how long have you had the car?
Oh gosh, about a year now.
About a year now.
Where did you find it?
Here in Florida.
We shopped and shopped and shopped.
So that winds up this edition of the Menards Chevy Series, and congratulations to our special award winners. We have a whole season of Chevys coming up, so if you're a member of the Bow Tie Brigade, be sure to join us. Next week, the Menards Chevy Series is off to Memphis, Tennessee.